Wait until you meet Tarma and Greg 2 weeks from Wednesday.
Action News at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow on 6 ABC.
Good evening. It's time for the live lottery drawings for Thursday, September 4th, 1997. Tonight's drawing official is Bob Eisman, and our witness is Helen Crabb. First, the daily number. Draw the first digit, please. 9. The second digit. 2. And the third digit. 9. Lottery drawings are audited by Boyer & Ritter, certified public accountants. And now Big 4. Draw the first digit, please. 4. The second digit. 1. The third digit. 7. And the fourth digit. 3. Lottery proceeds benefit older Pennsylvanians. And now cash 5. Select 5 numbers from 1 to 39, please. 24. 29. 9, 36, and 2. Tomorrow's wild card lotto jackpot is at least a $5.3 million annuity value or a cash payment of at least $2.9 million. And don't forget to get your tickets for the Keystone Jackpot game. This Saturday's jackpot will be at least $12 million. Here again are tonight's winning numbers from the Pennsylvania Lottery.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program with Scott Palmer, Dave Roberts, Lisa Thomas-Laurie, and Mark Howard.
A border crossing from Canada to Vermont may be the site of another attempt to bring explosives into this country. 2 people are in custody tonight. The bomb squad is at work. It's Tuesday night. Lisa's off. Anita Brickman joins us. The big story on Action News is what may be another attempt to bring instruments of terrorism into the United States. For the second time in less than a week, they arrested an Algerian national trying to get into this country. Now they say bomb-detecting dogs have found something in the rear fender of the car. They originally detained the man and a woman Sunday because one of them had a fake passport. Last week, of course, customs agents in Washington state arrested a man from Algeria also trying to bring in explosives. That arrest and these of a suspected terrorist overseas prompted the terrorism warning for Americans abroad and here in the States. Officials say all Americans need to be on guard against any suspicious activity during the holidays. And late word from the FAA is that security at all American airports has been stepped up, or many American airports. Officials say they'll use more advanced devices, dogs and personnel checking luggage for trace amounts of explosives. Now, at this point, officials at Philadelphia International Airport say they have not been put on any alert, so we don't know yet if Philadelphia is involved. But many airports have been put on special alert. The word is be on the lookout for terrorists. Anita?
Mark, one man whose name is almost synonymous with terrorism is speaking out tonight. Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi says he's not surprised by the threat of terrorism against the U.S. He claims the American government is hated around the world. That said, Gaddafi says he doesn't know of any specific threats against the U.S. this season. Of course, his regime has long been linked to world terrorism, including the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Today marks the 11th anniversary of that attack. A bomb knocked the 747 out of the skies over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing 270 people in the plane and on the ground. Many of the plane's passengers were college students returning home for the holidays after semesters abroad. The test results are in for the Philadelphia firefighters and paramedics in the hepatitis C scare, and the results are not good. Just over 2,100 firefighters took the tests. 85 tested positive for Hep C. That's 4%, twice the national average. The firefighters union says the nature of the job makes contracting the disease an occupational hazard. It wants the city to take more responsibility for helping firefighters with the disease get the medical care they need. Coming up on Action News at 6 o'clock, Vernon Odom will have the city's response in a live report.
A peaceful end to a frightening hostage drama this morning in Philadelphia. Police got the call around 8 a.m. about a disturbance in the 2400 block of Oxford Avenue. When police arrived, they learned that 3 gunmen were holding a husband and wife hostage at a Chinese food store. David Henry's been on this story all day long and joins us now from Central Detectives in Center City with all the details. Good evening, David.
Good evening, Mark. The suspects thought they'd be living it up by now with pockets full of cash. Instead of that, they're behind bars here at the Central Police Detectives headquarters, allegedly after putting a restaurant owner and his wife through a terrifying ordeal during a botched robbery attempt. 51-year-old Danny Tron says he had returned to his restaurant and apartment after dropping his 2 children off at school. That's when he was jumped by 3 masked men with guns.
Had the 3 guys, they wait my outside there, they take a gun. They put my head like that, go inside.
As they went inside, Danny managed to trigger a silent alarm. They took him to his upstairs apartment, bound him with duct tape, and demanded money. The police arrived minutes later, and the 3 robbers ran downstairs.
The males had fled to the basement of the property. There was an Asian couple that were up on the 2nd floor of the property. We were able to secure them, get them out of the property safely, and escort them out of the area.
Kathy Tron says she and her husband were terrified.
The first time, I don't know where they run, and after that, my husband find out the basement lights on. We think that they are in the basement. That's why the police asked us any way we can get out. And we just walk very slowly by the step, we just get out.
The police brought in a SWAT team and a hostage negotiator. One of the suspects came out right away, while the other 2 remained holed up with 2 handguns and a shotgun. Eventually, they too realized it was hopeless and gave up without incident. They've been identified as Mitchell Grant, Mark Mills, and Robert Stevens, all from the neighborhood.
So thank God they surrendered. SWAT was on location. We wait them out in situations like this.
With that kind of firepower, this could have turned ugly.
This could have very well turned ugly, yes.
But instead of ugly, it ended with no bloodshed. The suspects are still being questioned here at Central Detectives. They all have prior arrest records, and they face numerous charges, including kidnapping, which is a felony and could carry a sentence of 10 to 20 years if they're convicted. Live in the Center City, I'm David Henry, Channel 6 Action News.
David, thank you. Well, winter officially begins in a little more than 9 hours, and the wintry weather is moving in right on schedule. Dave Roberts is outside with the details from AccuWeather. Hi, Dave.
How you doing, Anita? We've got a little taste of winter here in City Avenue. We've got very light sleet falling as I speak to you. Also reports up in Chester County, getting some hail up there, and the way to the south, the folks down in Baltimore reporting some heavy sleet. So touch of winter is on the way. Here's why it's coming. Take a look at Action Radar. See that cloud cover over the past 12 hours just kind of hanging on, and you see that pocket of yellow to the south. We'll show it to you one more time here, and there it is right there, and then we'll go closer on Street Spotter 6, and there it is around the Dover area now over the past hour. Let's set that in motion, and you see the system lifting northeast. You see it moving into the frame there, the yellow area just south of Dover. It's moving northeast, and then you see another cell right up there moving away from Philadelphia. That's what we're picking up as I speak to you. So we've got some light sleet to report. Tonight, the call from AccuWeather is, I guess the key word here is colder, 33 degrees. Of course, we can't leave out some light rain or wet snow. You probably toss in some sleet or hail, classify it as you will. There's going to be that mixture, so we're close to the freezing mark. And yes, early tomorrow, winter arrives. How early? There it is, 2:45 in the morning. This is rather a large system, wider on Action Radar, and you'll see it lifting out of the south there, but it's moving away from us in a northeasterly fashion, so we are on the western edge. And right now I can report to you that the western edge is getting some sleet here on City Avenue. So going out tonight, be careful. It may carry over in the early morning hours. We'll talk more about that, the rush hour in the morning, when we come back in just a few minutes. Hello, wintertime, Mark. Here we go.
I tell you, Dave, we'll ask you about a white Christmas when you come in,
okay,
too. And don't forget now, tune to Channel 6 tomorrow morning for any school closings. If the weather is nasty enough to delay or close schools which aren't already on vacation, our school closing system will be in effect, and it will be on the air beginning at 4:30 in the morning.
Wilmington's finest and their canine compatriots have gotten a special Christmas gift. 7th grade science teacher Nina Harasika and her students at Tally Middle School have purchased 2 bulletproof vests for the canine unit. They presented the first today. Last October, Harasika enlisted her students in a lollipop selling campaign to raise money for the $360 bulletproof vests. They raised $550, so with some donations, they bought 2 dog vests and plan to purchase more. Here at a South Jersey church, an uplifting day to remember. With the help of a 100-foot-tall crane, workers returned a steeple to its perch atop the Medford United Methodist Church. The church was built here on Hartford Road in the early 1970s. And about a month ago, the steeple was taken down for renovation and repairs. But it's back on top in time for Christmas Eve services this.
And one other thing that has a lot of people thinking this time of year is Y2K and how the calendar changeover may impact their lives. Atlantic City officials have weighed in and say New Year's revelers can expect a safe and fun Y2K celebration at the shore. Action News New Jersey correspondent Lisa Quintana is live near the Atlantic City Gateway with a whole story. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Mark. Yes, New Year's Eve is always a big night here in Atlantic City, but this year we're ringing in the millennium, so the crowds are expected to be even bigger. City officials say come midnight New Year's Eve, will slot machines start spitting out quarters? Will Atlantic City go dark? City officials say no.
As we speak today, the traffic lights, 911, all of the city's major computer functions have been converted and are certified as being compliant.
City officials say they demanded and got Y2K ready statements from all utility companies and all 12 casinos.
It's like a 4th of July or a Labor Day weekend. And, you know, as long as we don't have a blizzard or something.
This should never happen again for Orlando Brown and Jeff Triplett. Sixers, no doubt, still savoring last night's. What a thrilling game it was versus Detroit. First at the end of regulation, down by 3. Need a three for a tie. Here comes Larry Hughes. That's a buzzer beater. Now in overtime, they're down by 1. Time running down. This time they go to Eric Snow. This time for the win.
Snow, the fake for the win. Yes!
A couple of buzzer beaters on the menu last night. 122, 121. Afterwards, Eric Snow talks about the shot.
Yeah, I seen Jerry running full speed, so I knew he would take the fake. And then as far as the other fake, I just wanted Grant to make a decision whether he would play Aaron or play me. And, you know, fortunately for us, you know, we were able to, you know, I was able to hit the shot.
It was Jerry Stackhouse who tried to block the shot, was faked out by Snow, and the Sixers say, oh, that is fantastic. Also fantastic out in Portland, Oregon. Here's a 3-year-old who's singing the national anthem. His name is Joey Skeel.
Can you see
Ties the record for the youngest anthem singer in history, 3-year-old Joey Skeel, hitting all the wrong notes, and more importantly, he got all the words correct. That's the key to that song.
Yes, it is.
Got to get those words in the right order.
Nice tie.
Really? Oh, I got to unplug it now, I guess.
Some rising stars on the ice offered a few pointers to fellow skaters today. Skaters with Disney on Ice hosted a clinic in Pensacola today for members of the Flyers Skate Zone skating clubs. They gave tips about the technical aspects of professional skating. The Disney skaters are in town preparing for Disney on Ice, celebrating 75 years of Disney magic. The show opens the day after Christmas at the First Union Spectrum.
The new year is just over the hill and around the corner. Time is running out, but there's still a little left. So hurry in and save during the final days of the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. It's your last chance.
Now check out the tough Chevy Malibu. It's the lowest priced car with a standard V6 engine, automatic, air, and ABS. Plus, get this great smart lease on Malibu. Call for details.
So come in now to the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event. Don't let your turn to win pass you by.
Give a little love. This week only, Big Kmart has some fantastic specials for you. Save 33% on all Christmas decorations, including all trees and lights. Get 50% off all men's sweaters. This RCA 5 CD stereo system is just $99.99. This 13-inch color TV, $104.88. Big gifts, big savings, one big week.
Oh, give a little love.
Get it all now at Big K. Changing for the better.
Guess what else just rolled over? The Pennsylvania Lottery's Super 6 jackpot. Next drawing worth $4 million, which is music to everyone's ears.
Just in time for the holidays at Circuit City. Get an instant $400 toward any Circuit City purchase when you sign up for 3 years of CompuServe 2000 Premier Internet Service, only $21.95 per month. Just sign up at Circuit City, and we'll hand you a $400 merchandise card instantly, good toward anything in our store. Apply your $400 merchandise card to a computer, camcorder, big screen TV, or refrigerator. It's $400 of whatever you want, only at Circuit City.
Students from the Camden County Technical School put their learning to work today and spread some holiday cheer in the process. Students from the Technical School's horticulture program, they gathered at the Cadbury home for senior citizens in Cherry Hill, making flower arrangements and corsages for all the residents. Each of these arrangements had a little seasonal touch here and there, living gifts in the holiday spirit. And here now on this last day of autumn, 1999, Dave Roberts in AccuWeather.
All right, Mr. Mark. Winter officially begins in the early morning hours at 2:44 to be exact. We had a taste of winter today, just a little taste. On City Line Avenue, we had some light sleet. This is taken out in Fraser. You see a little hail, a little sleet bouncing off this vehicle there out in Fraser tonight. Some areas picking it up, some not. Some light rain, wet snow, or maybe a little sleet, maybe a little hail. Obviously, this is hail here. All hail, the gang is here. That was in Fraser not too long ago. That's the storm center way down here. Moving out of Alabama, all this precip in front of it running into cold air. You know what happens when that combination gets together. Right now we're on the western edge of it as it's pulling away from us. That's the good news for us. Let's go to action radar and you will see the precip moving in a northeasterly fashion there. The blue areas, of course, being that sleet, the white being the rain, and the white being the snow, excuse me, and the green and the yellow being the precipitation. We're going to go wider in action radar. You'll see how huge this system is, but the important thing here to note is that it's kind of falling apart and moving away from us. So folks down in southern Jersey and Delaware, you're going to pick up some probably light snow, maybe a little sleet mixed in out of this system. Then the colder air comes in place as the days go on. Call from AccuWeather. Here we go with just a touch of winter cold. Touch of winter cold. 28, cold enough up there in the Poconos, to 36 down in Dover. Our low, 36 degrees. That's our present temperature reading. And yes, we did get up to 48 degrees. That came in the early hours. In the northeast, the number is, here we go, 36 degrees. Same outside the station, 37 for Center City, 36 at the airport. Camden, 38 degrees. Action cam out today on the Parkway. Steps to the Art Museum, right up the terrace there. Present temperature reading 36 degrees, relative humidity 45%. The barometer 30.22. It's on the rise. Winds out of the west-northwest 12 miles an hour. Yes, it feels like winter. The wind chill is 22 degrees. Exclusive AccuWeather 5-day forecast. Cloudy and colder tonight, 36 degrees. Could see a spritz, could see a little wet snowflake, maybe a little sleet. Winter arriving, 2:44 in the morning, 40 degrees. A mixture of clouds and sun tomorrow. More clouds, brisk and cold. Maybe a flake there, 40 degrees. Friday, Christmas Eve, windy and cold. Maybe a flake there, 35. Christmas Day, no snow. It's a no-show. Windy and cold, 38 degrees, 40 degrees, more clouds on Sunday. Be a little messy overnight. We'll continue to track that system in hopes that it continues just to pull away from us and we don't have to deal with any problems at late night or early morning.
Might be better till at least Christmas Eve.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dave. Jolly old St. Nick is using a high-tech weapon to make the rounds in Philadelphia these days. Action News at Drexel University today. Santa welcoming hundreds of children and families from North and West Philadelphia. In this high-tech age, Santa used a computer to check his list and distribute toys to the children. The St. Maria Goretti High School Concert Choir added to the Yuletide atmosphere at Drexel University today. Plenty of holiday cheer in Trenton today. Folks who normally hand out tickets were handing out gifts. Action News New Jersey correspondent Nora Mushanik was there.
When State Police Sergeant Al Delafave went through the academy, he never knew undercover work would include playing Santa Claus. But he did a convincing job for these 3- and 4-year-olds at the Mill Hill Family Development Center in Trenton.
Oh, I love this. I wish we could do it every day of the year in every single school, house, hospital.
Aided by a group of civilian and uniformed state police personnel, Santa did what he does best. He gave away toys and stockings stuffed with goodies for these underprivileged children.
I wish Santa was black.
And what did he give you?
Presents.
This is the 10th year in a row state police have taken part in a celebration like this. They collect all the money for the toys, then do the shopping and the wrapping themselves.
I think it's everybody's responsibility to give something back to the community, and this is our way of doing it.
A lot of times people see us just in a bad way, when we come driving through in the car, but it's great when Santa can get out of the back of the police car and come in here and be with the kids, and we get to be a part of it.
The merriment was contagious as these preschoolers delighted in their gifts. These may be the only presents some of the children receive this holiday season.
All year long, the kids work so hard, and people are just so kind and so nice at Christmas time. For kids that wouldn't have it normally, and it just means so much, and we really appreciate it from the bottom of our heart.
There's no arguing this state police undercover operation was a complete success. In Trenton, I'm Nora Mushanek, Channel 6 Action News.
ABC World News tonight is next here on Channel 6. Action News continues tonight at 11. Jim Gardner will be back. Now for Gary Papa, Dave Roberts, Jim Gardner, the entire Action News team. I'm Mark Howard. Have a good evening.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Bell Atlantic, your guide through the wiles of communications.
The most watched station in the Delaware Valley, 6 ABC.
Blockbuster has the ingredients for the perfect holiday. Time with loved ones. Family traditions. And of course, waiting up for Santa. Right now, save big when you buy these hit movies at Blockbuster, because for a limited time you can get 2 previously viewed tapes for $15. And while you're there, pick up Blockbuster gift cards or rent a hot new release, which is fast becoming a holiday tradition in itself.
Some things have a way of changing your whole outlook. Like the Chrysler year-end event, because now you can drive the 300M with 0.9 APR for over $5,000 in finance savings. The Chrysler year-end event. It can have a profound influence on you. Buy 300M with 0.9 APR for over $5,000 in finance savings.
Senator Bill Roth restored vital Medicare funding for Delaware seniors. He led the fight to improve access to quality nursing home care. Leadership, protecting Medicare. It's what we've come to expect from Bill Roth.
My father, my family, all the people in need say thank you very much.
Call Senator Roth. Tell him that his vote to restore Medicare and continue quality nursing home care made a difference. He kept the promise.
It's the last sale before Christmas at Boscov's. Almost everything's on sale. Take 70% off 14-karat gold chains. Cashmere line ladies' leather gloves, $19.99. Holiday dresses, 30 to 50% off, $299.99. RCA 27-inch stereo TV with bonus stand. Bonus buys with purchase. Silver Millennium candle, $1.99. 24% lead crystal bowl, $2.99 at Boscov's.
On World News Tonight this Tuesday, the government tightens security at U.S. airports amid worries about terrorism during the holidays. Another record-breaking day on Wall Street, the largest one-day gain ever for the NASDAQ. Air traffic control tapes from last summer's crash in Little Rock. Why did the pilots try to land on such a stormy night? And a new report on how doctors communicate with patients. What your doctor isn't telling you can be harmful to your health.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Connie Chung.
Good evening. There are real concerns at the highest levels of the United States government tonight. Concerns that terrorist attacks could be a genuine threat to Americans celebrating the millennium. These worries come a week after an Algerian man was caught trying to enter Washington state with ingredients for a large bomb. Investigators have linked the man to a violent terrorist group. Security has already been tightened on the nation's borders. Now the alert has spread to the nation's airports. ABC's Terry Moran has details.
The FAA is telling airport authorities to redouble the already stringent security procedures at the nation's airports. For passengers, that means more police, stricter enforcement of parking rules, more dogs, and more bag searches. Travelers are also being told to be on the lookout for unattended bags and not to take gift wrap packages on planes because they'll probably be open. It's all part of the government's balancing act to beef up security for the new year and yet not alarm the public. At the White House, President Clinton tried to sound a reassuring note.
We worked hard and I think we're in good shape.
We are not advising people to change their plans and not follow through on what they plan to do for their millennium celebrations, whatever that might be.
Late yesterday, in a top-level interagency meeting at the White House, officials discussed issuing a domestic terrorism warning, but decided against it.
And yet tonight the State Department is issuing yet another worldwide caution to Americans abroad. Another sign the president's advisors say of their efforts to awaken public awareness and vigilance without panicking people, which would only make the terrorists happy. Connie?
Thank you. Terry Moran at the White House. A revelation today about the explosives case that started this scare has raised serious questions about the quality of the investigation. Authorities believe that the man arrested near Seattle, Ahmed Rassam, is part of a larger plot. And there's another man they very much want to talk to. The Canadians had announced he was locked up, but today it became clear he's on the loose. ABC's John Miller reports.
Only hours after Ahmed Rassam was arrested as a suspected courier of explosives for terrorists, he was linked to this man, Saeed Admani. Montreal police said Admani was suspected in bombings and had connections to terrorist groups. But since Admani's name surfaced in this case 4 days ago, what role he played, if he played any, has been getting harder and harder to nail down. Montreal police said Admani lived in Montreal's Algerian community, and they say he was linked to Rassam. But they said Admani had been extradited to France to face charges in a number of terrorist bombings there. Today, French authorities told ABC News that Admani had not been charged in the Paris bombings and certainly hadn't been shipped to a French jail. Today, Canadian police admitted their mistake. But where is Admani? It appears he may still be in Canada. Now investigators say Admani is an organizer of Algerian dissidents who commit crimes to raise money for the resistance movement. FBI agents want to know if Admani was at this Vancouver hotel with Rassam in early December. And they want to know if Admani rode with Rassam on this ferry just before Rassam's arrest, because a second ticket stub found in Rassam's car shows another passenger accompanied him on the first leg of the ferry trip. Now, police in Canada are trying very hard to find Admani, to bring him in for questioning. They may not know where he is, but they now seem fairly certain he is not, as they once thought, in a Paris jail cell. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
We've also learned that Ahmed Rassam, the man arrested at the border, probably should have been picked up long before. But because of a communication problem on the Canadian side of the border, it never happened. ABC's Bob Woodruff reports from Montreal.
In the past 5 years, Ahmed Rassam was arrested several times for stealing a computer, for violating immigration laws. Some Canadian authorities thought he was a terrorist. But at the Canadian Passport Office, officials apparently knew nothing of this. Last February, Canada gave Rassam a passport. In Quebec, background checks are not required, and the only proof of citizenship needed is a baptismal certificate that authorities say Rassam forged using the name Benny Norris.
I think Rassam is an excellent example of where the Canadian immigration system fails, Canadians and potentially its neighbors.
Canadian authorities have suspected Rassam of links to Algerian terrorists from his first days in the country, and his fingerprints were on file. But he consistently evaded law enforcement. In May 1998, Canadian immigration officials issued a warrant for Rassam's arrest. 1 month later, he was picked up on an unrelated theft. But Montreal police did not check the records and failed to realize he was wanted. After a short jail sentence, he was freed. So for 5 years, Ahmed Rassam was able to slip through the cracks, avoid the police, and trick the government into giving him a passport. He almost made it into the United States with a trunk full of supplies for making bombs. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Montreal.
In Vermont on Sunday night, another Algerian was arrested at a remote checkpoint on the U.S.-Canadian border. Bobby Chomsky and a Canadian woman he was driving with, Lucia Garofalo, were charged with trying to use a fake French passport. A customs dog smelled explosives in their car, but none was found. It's not yet known if the two have connections to terrorism. When World News Tonight continues, another huge rise for technology stocks. What's behind the surge this time? And one village is suffering from the disaster in Venezuela. The death toll from the mudslides keeps climbing.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Publishers Clearinghouse.
I'm speechless. Every year on Super Bowl Sunday, we surprise someone with $10 million. But this is no ordinary year.
Super Bowl Sunday, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol kicks off the 21st century with $21 million.
You're not believing this!
It'll all happen on TV and at PCH.com. Watch your mail or go to PCH.com. Enter, and on Super Bowl Sunday, the $21 million winner could be you.
Yes, we're back. Hershey's Pot of Gold? What are you, crazy? We hardly know them. Bill? Hi. Hi.
Hershey's Pot of Gold. It's that good.
Did you know harsh winter weather can leave even unexposed skin itchy and dry? Did you know moisturizers aren't always up to the challenge of itchy, dry skin? That's why there's Cortisone 10 Plus. Among these, only Cortisone 10 Plus has 10 moisturizers like aloe and vitamins, plus the power of Cortisone 10 to stop itch and help heal. So for itchy patches of dry skin, even eczema or psoriasis, try Cortisone 10 Plus.
On the money tonight, the largest one-day point gain ever on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was up more than 127 points to close at 3911. That's the 56th record high this year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 56 points, closing at 11,200. The records have been falling on the NASDAQ almost daily over the past few weeks. But what happened today to cause such an enormous rise? ABC's Betsy Stark joins us from the NASDAQ market site. Betsy, what was the cause?
Connie, the fuel today was the Federal Reserve's decision not only to leave interest rates where they are, which was widely expected, but to show no inclination at this point to raise them in the future. After that 2:15 decision, technology and internet stocks took off like a rocket. Just take a look at some of these gains today. Yahoo, the internet portal company, up 36 and change. Commerce One, an internet business service company, up 57. CMGI, an internet venture capital firm, up 48 and change. That's a gain of more than 20% just today. And Qualcomm, the wireless telecom company, up another 30 today. Keep in mind, these are companies all up several 100% already this year. Wall Street keeps saying it can't last, and then you get a day like today. The NASDAQ is now up 77% for the year, Connie.
All right. Thank you, Betsy Stark. The Federal Aviation Administration has released tapes of air traffic controllers' conversations with the crew of an American Airlines jet that crashed in June. The MD-80 skidded off a runway while landing in Little Rock during very bad weather, killing 11 people. The tapes leave it a mystery as to why the cockpit crew tried to land in such poor conditions at all. ABC's Lisa Stark reports.
The crew made the decision to land despite repeated conversations with the tower about how bad the weather was getting at the Little Rock Airport. It is 11:34 at night, 17 minutes before the crash. The controller at the airport talks with Flight 1420 co-pilot Michael Origel.
Dragon 1420, Little Rock approach, roger. We have a thunderstorm just northwest of the airport moving through the area now. Wind is 280 at 28, gust 44.
Winds gusting to 44 miles an hour.
Yeah, we can see the lightning.
5 minutes later, the controller issues a wind shear alert. The plane continues on. Meanwhile, the Memphis Air Traffic Control Center is calling to see if planes are landing at Little Rock.
Are you guys still are they still getting in there?
Well, we got a guy trying to run now. I'll let you know here in a minute.
When the plane is 3 miles out, the controller warns of heavy rain and crosswinds beyond what American Airlines allows for landings.
Wind shear alert. Center field winds 350 at 32, gust 45.
Still, the pilots continue their approach.
American 1420, we're established inbound.
More wind speeds from the tower, then the last cockpit transmission.
American 1420, thanks.
2 minutes later, there is no response to a call from the tower. It takes another 4 minutes to launch fire and rescue, and another 8 minutes to find the wreckage.
We've got them off the end of the runway. We have a fire. This is an alert 3. This is an alert 3.
When investigators begin their formal hearings into the crash next month, one of the things they're going to want to know is whether fatigue clouded the judgment of the pilots. They had already been on duty 13.5 hours at the time of the crash. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
A wake-up call today for sleepy drivers. Researchers in North Carolina found that drivers involved in accidents had slept, on average, about 40 minutes less than other drivers. About half of the ones who crashed said they felt drowsy before the accident. When we come back, maybe the last place on earth you'd want to be right now.
I should have used Preparation H.
Cool it fast with Preparation H Cooling Gel. Cools on contact for fast relief. Preparation H Cooling Gel cools on contact.
One more gift to buy? The big one? Well, now you can get a Gateway PC with an Intel Pentium 3 processor, including a color printer. It's just $899 after a $400 rebate with a 3-year CompuServe 2000 Premier commitment. Order by the 23rd, and it's guaranteed to be in Santa's bag. Oh yeah, did we mention the gift box? Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
Ring in the millennium with seafood platters from Red Lobster, shrimp, crab, or both. They'll make any party something to savor.
How do you measure success? Presenting iChoice from Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, a dynamic new financial program that lets you achieve your success your way. How do you measure success? At Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, we measure success one investor at a time.
What if you could treat wrinkles like an expert would? With Rock, the #1 anti-wrinkle cream in France, you can. Developed with dermatologists, Rock's pure and active form of vitamin A works deeper inside skin surface. In a 12-week study, the appearance of fine lines was reduced by 86%, wrinkles by 42%. Something more superficial beauty treatments could never promise. Rock, we keep our promises.
The United States said today it has nearly 100 troops, as well as 6 planes and 8 helicopters delivering supplies to mudslide survivors in Venezuela. Authorities there say the death toll could reach 20 or even 30,000. But many of the bodies are buried now under rivers of drying mud. ABC's Ron Claiborne reports on a day spent in the village of Sorocaiма.
The survivors wandered the dusty streets of this town in a daze today. Many of them stood in long lines for bags of food, bottled water, and clothing handed out by the Army. There is still no running water, little electricity, and only a handful of stores have reopened. Everywhere there is mud and the smell of death.
This is Segunda Calle, or 2nd Street, only it's not much of a street anymore. It's more like a canyon of mud, 6 feet deep and fast hardening, burying everything that was in the way.
On 2nd Street, life has been reduced to one task, getting rid of the mud. Juan Ferrer has managed to shovel most of it out of his home. The mud came bursting through his doors and windows last Wednesday after 14 straight days of rain. I was in the house the whole time, he said. It was 3 hours of terror. Julia Escalona's single-story house was filled almost to the ceiling with mud that is now turned as hard as cement. She's living in a shelter now down by the port, but she says she's going to stay in Sorocaima. I work here, she said. I'm a teacher. I can't leave. Her neighbor tried to clear the mud from his porch, but he barely had the strength to do it. People here are stunned, exhausted, and grateful to have survived. For all of the thousands of people this country has lost,
2nd Street lost one old man, one of the few who refused to leave when the river began to rise. Ron Claiborne, ABC News, Sorocaiма, Venezuela.
In Syracuse, New York today, the Canadian government hit R.J. Reynolds with a $1 billion federal lawsuit. It accuses the company of smuggling black market cigarettes into Canada. The alleged motive? To avoid Canada's high tobacco taxes and to ensure that smokers could find low prices. Now here's a story for anyone who thinks e-commerce is just about books, toys, or electronics. The aircraft maker Gulfstream has just made the largest retail sale ever on the internet. Gulfstream sold a business jet to one of the founders of the internet company, Broadcast.com, for $40 million. Just ahead, when doctors fail to tell patients all they need to know, we'll take a closer look.
Don't get that, Frank.
Hello? Baxter!
Meow, meow, meow.
New Meow Mix seafood middles. Mackerel and tuna flavors make it taste so good. Cats ask for it. By name.
Heartburn caused by acid reflux. Some prescription medicines promise you freedom from the pain.
But what kind of freedom is getting locked into taking a pill every day?
Ask your doctor. He may recommend you take Gaviscon whenever you need it. Gaviscon tablets are different. They become smooth and creamy on the way down, forming a soothing protective barrier that helps keep acid down.
Why get locked in to taking a pill every day when Gaviscon gives me relief?
Gaviscon, relief from acid reflux without a prescription.
Oh, ho, ho. Hi there. Ba-doom, ba-doom. Come here, come here. Hey, what's the matter? Oh. Huh? Yes. Thank you.
The holidays can be stressful, even on a diaper. So make sure it's Luvs. They're so good on leaks, they're now guaranteed. With this no leaks phone number. So live and learn and then get Luvs.
Please.
For happier holidays, guaranteed.
A significant discovery in eye health may be lutein, a nutrient found in these healthy foods, perhaps as vital to your eyes as the beta-carotene in carrots. And now, Centrum and Centrum Silver are the only leading multivitamins that have lutein. So whatever your age, you can help maintain your precious sight. Look into Centrum and Centrum Silver, now more complete with lutein. Also look for Centrum Herbals, the only herbals backed by Centrum Science.
Could nasty kitchen germs make you sick? Call in the specialist. Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner not only cleans, but is specially made to kill germs, even ones you don't know about yet. Is your cleaner a specialist? Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner is the only one you need. You have our word on it.
It's that time of year when everyone's going to be peeking into your oven. So get Easy Off.
Easy Off makes oven cleaning easier.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at one of the most critical factors affecting the quality of health care, the way doctors communicate with their patients. Who hasn't had a visit to the doctor that felt like a stop on the factory assembly line? A long wait, maybe a prescription, then thank you very much, pay on your way out. Researchers at the University of Washington studied audio tapes of more than 1,000 routine office visits. In a report released today, they found that in the vast majority of cases, doctors are not giving their patients nearly enough information. As ABC's Deborah Amos reports, the lack of information can be detrimental to your health.
The results are the same, whether it's a routine visit to the family physician or a complex medical problem that requires a surgeon. According to the study, only 9% of the doctors told patients what they needed to know to make an informed decision about their medical care.
I suspected that it was going to be, less than perfect, but the fact that it was as low as it was a surprise.
Dr. Clarence Braddock tape-recorded conversations in more than 1,000 doctor-patient visits. Here are 2 exchanges about a lab test.
I think we should check your thyroid level to see if that is causing your fatigue. Does that seem reasonable?
The study says that example gives complete information, but this is how it's usually done.
I'd like to check some blood tests. Here's a slip to take to the lab.
There's an enormous difference between the two.
Dr. Thomas Murray heads a medical ethics center.
The first treats the patient as an intelligent human being and gives them a reason for what
is being done. The second simply issues orders.
The study also showed that even when patients have to make more complex decisions, doctors fail to fully inform them. In fact, less than 1% of the time. It's a finding confirmed by medical consumer groups.
People tell us time and time again, the doctor never told me. We didn't even know the questions to ask. You gave us questions to ask that we never even thought about. We never even knew there were 2 types of diabetes, or we never knew that there were variations on what you could do for this type of cancer.
This breakdown in communications is costly for patients. When doctors do not communicate fully, it takes more time to diagnose the problem. And patients may not take orders from a doctor they do not trust.
If I don't feel that I've been listened to, and if I don't really understand it, and don't feel like I have an opportunity to clarify things, I'm less likely to understand and less likely to do what I'm asked to do.
Doctors who do communicate with patients tend to use fewer tests and have fewer return visits. But these doctors are the exception, not the norm.
This is the classic study that everybody sits there and says, well, I knew that, and why haven't they done anything?
It is an issue that patients should raise with their doctors, because doctors who don't ask and don't tell are bad for your health. Deborah Amos, ABC News, New York.
So what do doctors think about this report? Our medical editor, Dr. Tim Johnson, who's seen plenty of patients, joins us now from Boston. Dr. Tim, tell me, I've been there. I've been embarrassed or uncomfortable, awkward with asking too many questions. I feel as if I'm grilling the doctor. Do you think this study is valid today?
I think it raises a very real red flag. However, I'll point out a couple of things. First of all, these interviews were collected in 1993. I think today, 6 years later, both patients and physicians would be somewhat more aggressive with each other in this age of wide-open internet information. Secondly, 6 years later, I have to point out that managed care is now the dominant force in American healthcare, and that raises the very real practical question that we always have to raise in this situation, and that is, who's going to pay for the time it takes to do good communication and good joint decision-making? And finally, Connie, I want to point out, there is always a small minority of patients who go to the doctor precisely because they want the doctor to be the expert to make the decisions. I think we have to respect their wishes as well as the majority who definitely want more communication.
So what do you recommend if the doctor is rushing you out the door and you have about 5 more questions to ask?
I'd be very blunt and say, doctor, this is my time and this is my body. I have to have these questions answered, please.
And just press it.
Press it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Tim Johnson. When we come back, the perfect day for a Neolithic sunrise.
This is the face of erectile dysfunction. So is this. And this. Fact is, 1 in 3 men have some form of ED, a medical condition also called impotence that affects men of every age, race, and background. What else do all these men have in common? They all faced up to their problem and got help. If you're experiencing ED, there's no need to hide your face. Just talk to your doctor. It's the best way to get educated about ED and how to treat it.
Super Bowl Sunday. In a special multimedia event, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol will surprise someone with $21 million.
Oh my God! I can't believe it! Oh, thank you so much!
It'll all happen on TV and at PCH.com.
Yes!
Watch your mail or go to PCH.com. Enter, and on Super Bowl Sunday, the $21 million winner could be you.
Labor of love took on a whole new meaning when Kyle was born. 12 hours of labor.
One of life's most joyful moments can also be one of its most painful. But take comfort, as so many women have, in Tylenol, the pain reliever doctors and hospitals choose most.
Come meet your little brother.
Hello. Tylenol, take comfort in our strength.
One marriage that's fallen apart.
It's over.
Could be rekindled in one moment of weakness.
I slept with Jake.
And destroy the one new relationship that matters most.
You didn't tell Rick, did you?
And Only Once and Again tonight, 10/9 Central on ABC.
A brief review of our top story. The government is taking another step to head off any terrorist attack around the start of the new year. Today, the FAA told airports to redouble their security procedures. That means more police, more searches, and more restrictions on parking. And finally tonight, the beginning of a new millennium, the solar millennium. While much of the world counts down to January 1st, some people today were marking a date on what they believe is nature's true calendar, the passing of the shortest day of the year, known as the winter solstice. At first light, a handful of sun worshippers, pagans, Buddhist monks, and witches, even the Prime Minister, gathered at Newgrange in Ireland to celebrate the winter solstice as it was done 5,000 years ago. This burial ground, which is the world's oldest covered structure, was built in 3100 BC. Ancient engineers designed the narrow entranceway to capture the first rays of the winter's sun. As the sun rises on the shortest day of the year, beams of light travel 60 feet through the burial chamber and out the other side. There was a 10-year waiting list for the chance to enter the chamber and commune with the spirits of antiquity.
It was terrific. I mean, from total darkness in the space of about 4 minutes, it just went totally bright.
The rarest of moments, he said, when the past, present, and future come perfectly together. And for this first solstice of the new millennium, the sun was perfectly cooperative. And that's our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline, Jerusalem's Y2K problem, a story of true believers. I'm Connie Chung, sitting in for Peter Jennings. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening. Good night.
From ABC News tomorrow, the race is on and Al Gore is holding court, coming face to face with the voters in a live Good Morning America town meeting that you don't want to miss. Tomorrow. And on World News Tonight, is someone playing mind games with you? How retailers get you to stay in their stores and spend more money. On World News Tonight. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
It's the season of joy and giving.
I'm your secret Santa.
But will it be enough to overcome a sister's heartbreak?
He's my brother.
Just take it easy on him.
He was part of a conspiracy to buy steroids.
The best role that you can play right now is as his sister.
I'm so mad at you I could cry.
An all-new sports night, tonight 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC.
Action News Mornings, now starting at 5 a.m.
Good evening. It's time for the live lottery drawings for Tuesday, December 21st, 1999. First, the daily number. Draw the first digit, please. 9, the second digit. 3, and the third digit. 4. Tonight's witness is Evelyn Punda. And now, Big 4. Draw the first digit, please. 4, the second digit. 3, the third digit. 7, and the fourth digit. 1. Lottery drawings are audited by Wooten & Nisley certified public accountants. And now, cash 5. Select 5 numbers from 1 to 39, please. 33, 9, 21, 8, and 16. On sale now at your local lottery retailer. 3 great instant ticket gift ideas. The $1 Jingle Box, the $2 Surprise Package Doubler, and the $5 $1 million holiday gift ticket. Tomorrow's Super 6 Lotto jackpot is worth a $4 million annuity or a cash payment of $2 million. Here again are tonight's winning numbers from the Pennsylvania Lottery.
From the Sony Pictures Studios.